Had a question submitted. What is the best practice for testing an automation, a large automation actually at that? So the first answer is do not make a copy of this automation. It will double the work and inevitably you will miss something. But before we actually go into the testing feature is we need to have a solid foundation of understanding of tags in different automation categories, because without this, we are not going to be able to systematically test these automations as we grow our library. I would also suggest starting out with small automations that end up building into a large automation. I'd rather see you test 4 or 5 small automations than one massive automation, because the massive automation is going to have more areas for mistakes, and the devil is in the details. And if you're not a detail-oriented person or like sitting in front of the computer for 2 to 3 hours at a pop, testing automations, which is not exciting. I love automations, but I will tell you I'd rather watch paint dry than test an automation, especially a large automation. We have some automations with simple growth that are anywhere from 22 to 2,500 tags. There is a lot of room for error, so we had to come up with a naming convention for these tags in different categories to be able to track and systematically go in and see where something broke or where we could add something in. So I'm going to go over the naming categories and the different areas of tags first for best practice. First one is a status tag. We use these with numbers in front of them, so it would be O1 status. So they're easily sorted and they're all together in the list of tags we have in the CRM. So basically what we're going to do is have a status tag. This tells you where the consumer is in the automation. This tag is going to be added and removed and updated. So if they started out at point 1 and now they're at point 3, it could be just received an estimate status. And the one before that could be needs to receive an estimate status. So these are going to be updated at each point of the automation as we go through the automation pipeline. The next one is a O2 history tag. This is going to tell us where they've been in the automation and give us a historical audit trail. So when you go under the customer file and you click the little arrow drop down for audit trail, we can systematically see where they've been and in the automations and some other areas where you can look at it as well. But this is going to give you some insight. So the most 2 important tags, in my opinion, right now, while we're testing at least, is your status tag and your history tag. Because status is going to tell you where they're at. History is going to tell you where they've been and particularly where the last place they've been. So if something breaks, we can narrow it down to that point of the automation. Next one is an O3 profile tag. And this is particular to the custom. So this could be O4 profile weekly mowing, O4 profile biweekly mowing, or the home cleaning industry, it could be O4 profile deep clean customer. Whatever that is, that's particular to the client. So if it's not captured in a custom field, we are going to capture it in a profile tag. Now this profile tag, just like the status tag, could be added, removed, or updated as the customer evolves. So they could be a customer, a canceled customer, or a reactivated canceled customer. So we've got different things there that are going to update along the way. So building an automation, testing an automation, it's not just putting it into the automation canvas in the CRM and hitting go. It takes some thought process. It takes probably 5 to 6 hours when I'm building an automation just to lay it out either on an online diagram flowchart or even on a piece of paper or whiteboard like behind me here, and you can just put it on a wall and see it. And then we're going to create an inventory of all the tags and everything else we need. I'll make some more videos around that. So the next thing we're going to do is an O4 to-do tag. Obviously in the CRM that we're using, we have to-dos. But these are going to track the to-dos. As reporting gets better and more advanced in Service Autopilot, we may actually get away from some of the to-do heavies and base it more on a to-do tag. I'll get more into that, but we'll be able to have more of a visual pipeline of our to-dos. And the last, fifth one is a system tag. Now, this system tag can be very confusing to most people, but basically this tells the system what to do in the automation. So whether it's to start the automation, to stop the automation, to pause the automation. This system tag is basically the ticket to get on the carnival ride or the roller coaster like at Disney World. So this ticket's going to allow them to get in and get off each particular automation at each step. The biggest thing I can warn you about is be particular with these system tags, because if you're not applying them right and you're not using them, you could be giving your potential customer or lead in the automations the all-day pass that skips the line, and basically you could rip them through 5 or 6 automations and blast out 2,500 to-dos or 3,000 emails or 2,000 text messages. So this is a big problem we see. So this is why that system tag is very important. It tells the system what to do on each particular client. So if we're not particular with our tagging, we can run into major issues and get our account shut down as far as our text messaging numbers and different things like that, and account basically affect our email deliverability and our credibility with the client. So the 5 categories, again, a status, history, profile, to do, and system. And now that we've kind of got that foundation, testing the automation becomes a little bit easier. So what I would recommend is taking the timers and sucking them down. But do leave some wait period in there because occasionally, depending on the system, if there isn't enough wait time in certain areas, we've seen the system literally blast through different timers and wait periods, and we want to have enough time in between sequences so we can get those tags applied and removed, so we have that audit trail, so we can make sure everything the automation was supposed to do does each and every time. Now you're going to want to probably create a test tag. So this is one particular tag that's assigned to a particular client, and then the automation, its entry sequence, the logic in it's going to say, okay, we're not letting anybody in this automation unless they have this test tag. So that's a way to protect yourself. But definitely make sure it's not open to the general public inside your account, because then you'll be testing with live people. So we want to create a couple test accounts and use a tag to signify that that's a test client and that's all that can get in. Now, best practices after every time Service Autopilot updates an automation. I know a lot of people have been questioning the fact that, now that automations are out of beta, we don't really need to test these things. But I will strongly urge you that you need to test these things. Perfect example is 20 days to close, our automated estimate follow-up. We are going on 13 or 14 months now. We just released version 19. We're in the process of building out version 20. The system continually updates. So if you're not constantly updating the version of your automation, it will bite you. I will guarantee it. I don't care how good your automations are. This is why it's important to test. I would say weekly. What we've done internally in our company, as well as Simple Growth, is we've created large automations that actually test each functionality of the automation, not necessarily an exact automation, but we're going to test different wait timers, advanced timers, text messaging, emails, to-dos. So basically every functionality of an automation that could happen in any of our automations, we have an automation that goes off daily that tests these features. So if there's an issue that comes up in between an update or after an update, we're ahead of it. We know when it happens immediately, so we can go in and find our status and history tag, dial down to where the automation is, and if it's something that changed with an update, now we know what the functionality is. We can go in really quick and systematically fix it in the automation. So hopefully this has helped. Maybe it was a little long-winded, but the biggest point that I can bring up is create 5 or 6 different categories. If you use ours, that's great. If not, create some standardized tag naming conventions so we can go in and search. At the bare minimum, a history and a status tag is going to be really, really recommended. And I would say after you test a test client, make sure you clean up all the tags that are on their client level. So when you drop them back in, we have a clean slate to see what happens again each and every time. And that could be a manual or an automatic process, but we want to make sure we clean up the tagging on the test clients after we pull them through the automation on a somewhat repetitive basis. So whether it's daily, weekly, or at bare minimal after each update, SA has is recommended. So any comments, questions below? Love to hear them.